Are you ready?
Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm just another one of Jerry's kids.
And I am Shailene Dion.
Welcome to episode 284, Degeneration X in your house.
Attitude is everything.
It really is.
Tis.
That's kind of their whole...
It's what we crave.
Their whole thing. They do a good job being children.
Yes, that they do.
So this is the 19th In Your House event produced by WWF. It took place on December 7th, 1997 from the Springfield Civic Center in Springfield, Massachusetts, with an attendance of 6,358 people.
It's a lot of Springfieldians.
I mean, yeah, it's like the In Your Houses are always in smaller buildings at this point in time.
Yep.
But from what I remember, the show is pretty packed out.
Yeah, it is a full crowd.
Definitely.
They're there to see some shit.
But we are in Massachusetts. Springfield, to be specific.
Yeah, we are.
So, Shane, did you do what you do?
Oh, did I ever. Yes, here we are in Springfield, Massachusetts. Located over here on the East Coast, New England, if you will. Yes, I did what I do, where I jump on the old Google machine and say, what the fuck do people eat here? What do they drink? What do they like for desserts? What's some famous, popular stuff? I came across a list that Food Network puts out for almost every state that has just a list of popular food and commodities and whatnot there. And, obviously it's the coast, so there's going to be lots of seafood, lots of... other little specialty things, scallops, donuts, cider donuts to be specific, fluffernutters, Indian pudding, Irish soda bread, baked stuffed scrod. I'm very curious what the fuck a scrod is. It's a fish, but I don't know if I've ever had a scrod.
It sounds ugly.
Obviously fish and chips, clam chowder. It's kind of too hot for clam chowder, and
it's only like 100 degrees.
Yeah. Still
nothing like a creamy soup when it's 100 degrees out.
But then I came across this lovely picture of some fried clam bellies. As it states here in the Food Network article, excellent fried clams are available throughout the state, but arguably the best place to eat them is with the view of the ocean. Max on the Pier provides them. You want to try the clams whole with their bellies at least once before chicking out and eating just plain old clam strips, with the waves of the sea crashing all around you.
Oh my gosh.
I guess at this place they serve them with french fries, tartar sauce, coleslaw, and lemon. Here in Oklahoma, we're limited on what we can get as far as seafood goes. We've got a couple great choices in Oklahoma City, though. One of them specifically is Rococo on Western. They specialize in East Coast seafood dishes. Rhode Island fisherman stew, New England fish fries, lobster rolls, lobster mac and cheese. But I went to their appetizer section here and found what they list as the best clams in Oklahoma. New England fried whole belly clams.
Pulled up a view of the ocean.
Oh,
well,
so we can enjoy these a lot better.
Perfect.
I thought it was going to be a video of a scrod or whatever that was called.
Yeah, Rococo is very well known here in the city.
Yeah, it's one of the best locally owned restaurants in the city.
And it's been around for like 20 plus years.
Yeah, old Bruce over at Rococo. I've gotten to know him pretty well over the last 10, 12 years. My former roommate was a manager for an old location of Rococo. Now there used to be two, now there's only one. But they went all out on this one. We've done, I want to say we got a
crab cake from them one time before.
We did crab cakes. I couldn't remember if we did the New England or Rhode Island style calamari from there or if it was from Pearl's, but they've got a Rhode Island style calamari as well. But these are just known as the best clams in Oklahoma. I'm going to take this big bite right here. Damn, that is just one clam in it.
Yeah, you go right ahead. Get it.
I guess that's the belly. All right. Let's
Had
put
no
some lemon
claims.
on it.
Had different parts. I was just like, it's just a guy. Just a guy in a shell.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. It's not going to make any noise because it got a little steamed, but they are fried crispy. There we go. I'm staring at the ocean as I'm chewing this.
I've never really had
That's
many.
like a clam and an oyster all together in one. Fuck yeah.
Never had many clams, I don't think. I
Wow.
guess we live in Oklahoma. That's
Okay.
good.
So I've never had a fried clam belly before. That was incredible. Because I'm an oyster fan, and that was like eating a clam and an oyster all merged together. So
Yeah, not as salty as a oyster.
lovely.
But
I wish there was more because those went fast. That is gone, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
I left the big one for you.
Appreciate it. You know, I like the big ones. So yeah, if you are ever in Oklahoma City, you must try the best clams in Oklahoma at Rococo on Western. You're going to love the place. It's beautiful, great food, great drinks, great service, and it's just in a nice location.
They still do a jazz brunch.
They've still got their big ass brunch that they always have. I don't know if it's jazzy.
I just
but
remember that from the one time I went there as a kid.
the one over here that used to be on May, or the one that was formerly on Penn.
It was, I think, the one on Penn. It was the original location because it was. I was like in like 5th or 6th grade, so it was quite a while ago.
So I wish I would have been able to go and eat at that one, but I never went before they shut it down and just turned it into their
This was
catering.
before the towers fell. That's how long ago it was.
That was quite a while ago. Well, something that happened right around the same time as this In Your House,
Mm-hmm.
even if it crashed during the movie, Titanic didn't crash at the box office when it came out a couple of weeks later.
Boy, did it not.
Yeah, I mean, I was in 5th grade, and I went with the whole family. I remember my older cousin, who was probably a senior in high school, or maybe just out of high school, putting her hand over my eyes when the titties came out. But it was a movie where I was like, oh, everybody, you have to see it. But yeah, that was like, a whole family going to see the Titanic.
Yep, I went and saw this movie opening day twice, and then I went the next day because other friends wanted to see it, and then I went the day after that.
Oh my God, Gene.
Yeah, within its first
You saw
3
20
days.
hours of the Titanic.
Yeah, it's 3 hours and 15 minutes each
Yeah.
sitting. Yeah, I saw me some 13 hours of Titanic all within a 4-day span, and I have no regrets.
You had that soundtrack.
Oh, I still have that soundtrack and the movie.
I didn't see this in the theater.
Wow, that's surprising.
I saw the re-release even when it came out again a couple years ago.
Well, so, I mean, when it came out again, I went and watched it,
Yeah.
the
I'm
re-release.
surprised that you didn't see it. It was just one of your
But
those
no,
things
my
where you're
first time to watch it was the double VHS.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I had that too.
Yeah, you can find it in every thrift store in America.
At this point, yes.
Yeah. I had to help build a Titanic display at Blockbuster when we were there. I had to partake in the double VHS pre-sale at Blockbuster,
Oh, yeah.
which I won because I won all of those things. Sorry, other former coworkers, you know it's true. Yeah, Titanic was the shit. It won all but one Academy Award that it was nominated for. It won all the other awards.
Which one did it lose, do you know?
Best Supporting Actress.
No. Who was up for it? Kathy Bates?
No. Well, I guess it lost Best Actress too because I want to say Kate was nominated for that one. Gloria Stewart was nominated for.
It's been so long.
So maybe it was nominated for like 14 and it only won 12. I can't remember.
Yeah. Either way, it cleaned the hell
It
up.
won 11 of
It
the
won
14.
Okay, so
I can remember the 11 on the box for the
yeah.
VHS.
Then it lost Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and possibly Screenplay.
Isn't it adapted screenplay because the ship actually crashed?
Shit,
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Good Will Hunting won one of the screenplays. Who would the other one have been? Probably As Good as It Gets.
The big talk of the movie as a young boy seeing this was the guy getting hit by the propeller. That's what we all took away from it.
Kate Winslet lost to Helen Hunt. Gloria Stewart lost to Kim Basinger. And the makeup artists lost to Men in Black.
Oh.
All understandable losses.
Can you name the other two movies that have received 11 Academy Awards?
Lord of the Rings Part 3.
Correct.
Oh, nice.
And
In 2004.
All About Eve.
How did there was
No.
there probably wasn't.
Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur.
I was gonna say there probably wasn't 11 awards when All About Eve came out, but maybe.
Oh, one of them was nominated for a shit ton.
So no one's got more than 11, but 3 people have got 11. I can't imagine anybody getting more. It fine.
Literally just said match
Yeah.
the other two movies that have won 11. So
It's fine.
I'm assuming that's
That's
the
where,
most,
yeah, it
but-
seems. It's like, what else? How many damn awards are there?
Lots.
There's a bunch. but
Yeah.
I want to see.
Ones that we care about are about like
8 to 10.
what is there, like 20? I think there's 22 on the
On the actual show.
on the actual show.
And then,
anymore.
like,
The technical awards aren't on there anymore.
not even visual effects.
Alright, I want the most nominations. Yeah, it says those three have the top.
Ben-Hur was nominated in 12 of the 15 possible, Titanic 14 of the 17 possible, and Lord of the Rings 11 of the 17. So Lord of the Rings won all of theirs.
Yeah. Damn.
Let's see, we've got Oppenheimer had 13 nominations, but it didn't tell me how many were in the category or other categories.
All About Eve had 14 nominations,
Oh, wow.
winning only 6. La La Land had 14 nominations, only winning 6. But 11 is the most awards won by a single film.
Yeah, and 3 of them getting, 3 movies winning 11 over the course of what? Almost 100 years? Right? Something like that.
Something like that.
96 years.
Uh-huh.
96 Academy Awards.
Yes.
96 tiers.
Yeah.
Question mark and the Mysterians.
But yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched Titanic,
Where the hell have you been? Or, hi, welcome to the world. You're brand new. You just got
I'm
born
gonna
a couple
spoil it
years
for you
ago.
right now.
She lets go.
She lets go.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's if you haven't seen it, it just probably shows that you're much younger than us. Because I could see somebody being born in like 2002 and just like never getting around to watching the Titanic. But they should.
Because they don't watch old movies.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's no good new ones, for Christ's sake. You have to watch old ones.
Oh, Titanic. I want to say this movie was finally knocked out of the number 1 spot by, or actually, I know what it is. Do you guys know what it is?
It's Avatar.
No, not like the number 1 movie moneymaker. Like it had the number 1 spot at the theaters for like 13 weeks, and then it was taken out by something that most people wouldn't expect. But
Let's see, 97.
a little bit of movie trivia.
Armageddon.
That was 98, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But I guess if this just
Well, that
debuted a couple years.
Yeah,
would be
would it still would be? Yeah, it would
but
still
no,
be.
it wasn't Armageddon.
But yeah, huh?
I can't think of what it is.
It was a Matt LeBlanc movie known as Lost in Space.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
bad movie.
I think it knocked it out for
Lacey Chabert movie.
It knocked it out for 1 week, and then I think it took its spot back at the top again.
Who else? I mean, there's a bunch of fun people in that movie. Mimi Rogers.
I don't know. I tried watching it, and I couldn't get
Wasn't it
very
Jeff
far into it.
Daniels?
Lost in Space is pretty bad, but I watched it again for the first time in a long time a couple of years ago, and it's at least interestingly bad.
Didn't they turn it into a Netflix
Yes.
show also?
And the Netflix show was actually pretty
I
fun.
heard people talking about that one with good comments, but I don't know.
Oh, it was Gary Oldman, William Hurt, Matt LeBlanc, Mimi
William
Rogers,
Hurt. That's who it was.
Heather
William
Graham.
Hurt, Jeff Daniels, they were kind of the same person in the 80s.
But in 98, I was 16, 17 years old, and
Yes.
Lacey Chabert was the only reason to watch that movie.
What about Blarp? He's the little weird alien.
Okay, that's how long it's been.
It's just a really bad CGI. It's fun.
They had their own little Jar Jar, huh?
Kind of, yeah.
Let's see if Degeneration X in your house can get us lost
Can
in
make our
time.
heart go on.
Or even that. WWF is in over 100 countries in 7 different languages. Are you ready? The narrator tells us about the matches of the evening, while a woman with a sultry voice speaks about how sexy Shawn Michaels is, while highlights of DX's antics are shown. Triple H threatens to expose himself to Slaughter's wife before Jim Neidhart is beat up by the group, as the commentators call it disgusting, while Miss Sexy Voice thinks it's great, asking viewers to come degenerate her.
Ooh.
Karate Fighters presents D-Generation X in your house, as Pyro goes off and Jim Ross welcomes us to the show, joined by Jerry the King Lawler. They preview the matches, followed by introducing the Spanish and French announcers.
Tito! Ray!
And we go to our first match. Brian Christopher versus Taka Michinoku in the tournament finals for the inaugural WWF Light Heavyweight Championship.
Hey, it's been working on the other show.
Yup.
And JR shows us the brackets of the tournament that led to this match, with the King saying Taka facing so many dogs, he ought to get a job at a kennel, while still denying that Christopher is his son.
His too sexy son.
That's right. We missed out on the Too Sexy Prince.
I do like the look of this red leather belt, though.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Michinoku had defeated Devon Storm, who we've seen before, and Aguila, who is the future Essa Rios.
Okay, because I paused the screen to look at the names on there, and that was the one that I didn't know who the fuck Aguila was.
Yeah. It's like, well, they've dealt with some CMLL within the last couple of years. Maybe they just brought a guy up.
While Brian had beaten Flash Flanagan, which, no clue, and won by forfeit versus his future tag team partner in Scotty Taylor.
Oh, Scotty too hottie?
So the match gets going with Christopher hitting slams and arm drags, but he wastes time posing, allowing Taka to answer with a spinning heel kick, multiple drop kicks, and a clothesline that sends Brian out to the floor, followed by a springboard plancha atop him. Michinoku goes to bring Christopher in the hard way, only to be blocked and reversed into crouching Taka on the ropes before knocking him out to the floor. Brian leaps off the top with a double axe handle, but Michinoku moves, sending Christopher crashing into the railing, busting open his lip. And Brian's rolled back in while Taka flies off the top with a crossbody, only for Christopher to move. But Michinoku then avoids a corner charge, allowing him to nail a tornado DDT, a hurricanrana, and an ICI moonsault for 2 counts.
Triple yeah.
And Lawler goes to check on not his son, wiping the blood from his mouth before Brian climbs to the apron, only to be knocked right back down by a dropkick.
I do love that. It's like, oh, you tried to help him and you just put him right in harm's way. What a good father.
Way to wipe up his little boo-boo.
The King rolls Christopher into the ring where Michinoku delivers several more dropkicks, goes for a monkey flip, but Brian counters it into a full Nelson facebuster, chokes, and a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. Christopher keeps up the attack with a second rope missile dropkick, a rocker dropper, and a backbreaker for 2 counts. And Brian starts slapping Taka to continue the punishment before hitting a release German, a leg drop, and a power slam for a near fall. And Brian calls for the finish, heading up top to nail the Tennessee Jam, which is a top rope leg drop, only for Taka to avoid and capitalize with a Michinoku driver for the pin and the win. And no!
Yeah, the fans were into this.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. It was interesting. It wasn't as fast-paced as... It was WWF light heavyweight, but...
Yeah, it wasn't your Cruiserweight Classics.
The heel and the face dynamics were done well, and the crowd was into it. And I was surprised that they were into it, because I don't know what the build for this was. But it doesn't sound like they had a red-hot tournament full of guys that were over or anybody even knew who were. So they could have made that bracket up and I would have believed it, and maybe they did. But it worked, and I was excited to see it. And Taka worked well from underneath, eked out the win over a bigger guy that did a good job being unlikable.
Post-match, Taka celebrates as Tony Gurria, Gerald Briscoe, and Pat Patterson present him with the title belt as Japanese photographers snap pictures. And Jerry calls it a black day for the WWF, that he can't look, telling Ross to tell him when it's over.
It's yeah. I like that they, at least for the moment, for as long as this is a thing, they at least made it serious. The photos and the belt being handed out and everything. So they did it right. Whether they end up continuing to do it or not, and for how long,
I can't remember because this show was on the cusp of 21. So I turned 21 in 98, and then
wrestling became less of a priority.
Yes, I mean I watched the big shows, but the Monday Night Raw got a little blurry.
So we go to our second match. Los Boricuas of Jesus Castillo, Jose Estrada, and Miguel Perez with Savio Vega versus the Disciples of Apocalypse of Chainz, 8-Ball, and Skull.
Where's Crush?
Los Boricuas comes out rapping.
Oh my God, did they ever?
My God.
Before JR sends it to clips from Raw.
What's up?
Gang war broke out during a match.
Yeah, the rapping, I mean, I'm thankful that the microphones didn't really pick up the sound that much because you couldn't really hear anything that they were saying. But what you could hear, it made you really, really wish that R-Truth would just bust through the crowd and take over. Because not good. You're good at a lot of things, Savio.
Well, it was just like, are Puerto Ricans known for rapping? Because their gimmick is that they're Puerto Rican. And now they're doing a rapping thing while they're coming out to the ring, so it's kind of like, what are we
Fat
doing?
Joe, Big Pun.
I mean, Bad Bunny, I get it.
But this is Bad Bunny's way later.
There are some, but it's just like
Bad Bunny was inspired by Savio Vega because Savio made his return at that little Puerto Rican
the pay-per-view.
What the hell was that show called? But the one that Bad Bunny was on.
Wasn't it Backlash?
Was that what it was? Okay, I can't remember.
I think it was just one of the normal pay-per-views. They just did it in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
That was actually a fun show.
Yeah, it wasn't technically a Puerto Rican pay-per-view, but it was in Puerto Rico.
The Disciples ride their bikes to the ring, with Ross saying Crush isn't there because of what Kane did to him this past week.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know what really happened.
Yeah.
What happened?
He quit.
Oh.
He quit because Brett screwed Brett.
Oh, he was one of those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, good on him for having principles, but principles don't give you paychecks.
No, but he's off to somewhere where they just throw money at anybody that used to work in the Fed.
I mean, good for him. It is funny. It's also pretty crazy because, DOA has been pretty well featured for the last 6 months or so. For him to bounce is kind of I think DOA and Los Boricuas are.
He's like, fuck this, guys.
Yeah.
I was part of Demolition.
Yeah, flatter than a plate full of piss, but they are being used.
Yeah. Well, he goes and links back up with his buddy Randy, and later becomes a bodyguard for Randy during his little rapping career. So we came full circle, rapping.
Cool.
The ref makes Savio go to the back, threatening to DQ his team if he remains at ringside.
And it's okay, well, all of these guys are 1-to-1. They can't just send one of the Boricuas back. They got to send the lead Boricua.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Crush was there, and he was the lead.
He was the lead, but
Apocalypse, or the lead disciple, whatever it was.
So now Chainz is the leader, I guess.
Hmm.
Brian Lee. Woo!
Brian Lee's not as bad as everybody says.
They got the family all together now. All the Harris boys.
Chainz and Perez trade right hands until the Disciple lands a hip toss and a clothesline, bringing in the twins to control the action with shoulder blocks, a face buster, power slam, and a double clothesline. 8-Ball with a side slam, Skull with a swinging backbreaker, but Miguel gets a boot to the back of the Disciple when he starts to run the ropes, followed by hot-shotting onto the ropes. Estrada takes Skull down with multiple clotheslines before Perez delivers a standing moonsault and a flying punch, but he tweaks his knee on the landing. Jose and Jesus maintain control with strikes when Vega comes back out, wanting to take the place of Miguel, but the ref won't allow it, with the distraction allowing 8-Ball to avoid a corner charge and make the crawl for the hot tag.
Can you even call it that? This is the second match, and it's a piss match. I saw the seats. I saw the seats on the hard cam.
Chainz clears house with a clothesline and a Death Valley driver to Estrada, but everybody starts brawling on the outside, which distracts the ref, only for Miguel to recover miraculously to jump in the ring to deliver a somersault leg drop, placing Jose on top for the pin and the win.
And to that I say,
Shave
sure.
Wait.
Oh, shave your back, yeah. I mean, not to further shit on something that none of us care about, but the Los Boricuas have the worst
Everything.
gear. It's not even gear. They went to Kmart and bought like painter's fucking pants and like tucked their shirts in and have their dad bellies out, and like they're surprisingly physical considering that none of them really have a physique. Guy can't even bother to buy a razor for his shoulder blades, but the ring gear is offensive. It makes Eddie Kingston's gear look good. And Eddie Kingston is in much less good shape than any of these men. But you know, Los Boricuas DOA. Can't imagine it's lasting much longer. But
I was gonna say,
but
Los Boricuas was DOA for sure.
Yeah. Nailed it, Shane. The sniper.
Doc Hendricks is in a locker room with Butterbean and his crew. Doc says they will make pay-per-view history tonight, as Butterbean competed in a boxing match the previous night. So is he 100%? And Bean says his adrenaline will push him through it, that last night was just a warm-up, because tonight he will teach Mero a lesson.
He doesn't like the way he treats Sable.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Mark's getting a little...
Too big for his britches?
Yeah, a little bit... well, he's showing some attitude, you could say.
Yes, uh-huh.
It's everything.
It is everything.
I'm kind of wishing we were in Boston, because, you know, we could have been in, like, Beantown. Butterbean Town, even.
The Butterbean shows up, and I'm like, is Butterbean the most late 90s, like the best example of, like, late 90s phenomenon? He's such a good example of just, like, the zeitgeist of the era. It's like, here's this, like, big firefighter guy that punches harder than everybody, isn't really a boxer. Like, they, like, you know, showed him, like, the basics or whatever, but it just came down to, like, if he gets you, it's over. And he just went and made a couple cool mill and, like, bounced, and everybody was like, yeah, he's a perfect babyface underdog for boxing. For wrestling, we'll see.
Like, if anybody could ever turn a stupid human trick into a career, this would be it.
Yeah, I mean, a stupid human trick turned into a career. That's wrestling. You know, a not so charitable explanation of wrestling.
Butterbean finishes up by saying he doesn't like the way Marc treats Sable, that it upsets him so much that he can't even talk about it.
You gonna say it? He's not talking.
We then go to Michael Cole, who's with Sable, showing her a recap of the Mero Butterbean feud, seeing clips of Marc's boxing career, before mentioning she was at Bean's fight the night before, asking her where her heart lies.
Bean had a bean on his mind.
And Sable responds that her heart is in the right place, with her husband Marvelous Marc, which brings Mero in to interrupt. He starts to berate Sable, asking if he gave her permission to speak or even do this interview. And Sable says no, so Marc reminds her not to steal his spotlight and promising to destroy that fat tub of crap, Butterbean.
Douche.
I mean, it's douchey, but it is the right energy, which they didn't take with Sunny, where Sunny was super over and her tag team wasn't. here, at least Sable's super over, and making Marc a bad guy makes it seem like they're at least trying. We know that Marc Mero never becomes a upper middle card like wonder, but they haven't given up on him at this point.
Not yet.
Nope.
Yeah, this is Silver Lining Michael.
He's got a little bit left in him.
So we get our third match. Marvelous Marc Mero with Sable and Rinaldi versus Butterbean with Art Dore and Murray Sutherland in a Toughman match.
Which is 4 2-minute rounds of boxing.
They can do some kicks.
Okay. But there's rounds, they have boxing gloves on.
It's closer to MMA than it is to boxing. Because they can do some kicks, but...
You just got a boxer and a former boxer that are doing it. So.
I do love that Marc Mero is walking out with Sable, and there's somebody has a sign that says Sable who? ? And Marc Mero takes it and shows it to the camera. It's like, you might be digging in a little too hard, brother. She's out there with you.
So the story behind this match was that Bean had attended an episode of Raw. So Michael Cole interviewed him, saying how he hated bullies. So when he saw Marc berating Sable, Butterbean came to her defense, only for Mero to take offense and assault him.
This is my stance, my hot take. Butterbean is peak America. Everything that we stand for, and from I call it a better time. It's just rose-colored glasses, but I'm just like, weren't things nice? Which, things of...
97 was a good year.
Yeah. Titanic was in the theater. Butterbean was making wrestling money after having a match the night before.
The current Butterbean is Joey Chestnut.
Oh, the hot dog guy. I can see that.
Yeah. Didn't he just wasn't he blocked from the most recent?
Because he's sponsored by Impossible Foods.
Yeah, which is crazy.
So
I find that offensive.
So he can only eat Impossible hot dogs now? Is that...
Well, he's sponsored by him, so he's
sponsored by him.
Yeah.
It wasn't Impossible that says he couldn't compete. It was Nathan's saying that he couldn't compete. But he actually gets paid more in sponsorship than he would have gotten if he won the hot dog eating contest. And also because he got blocked, or whatever you want to call it.
Blacklisted.
Him and Kobayashi, the other former big hot dog eating champion.
The two names that people actually know.
Yeah.
They signed a deal with Netflix to do a competition in September that they're going to end up probably getting paid more for than what they would have gotten if they had won the hot dog eating contest.
Netflix is right now teasing, they're trying to get into, they're working their way into doing live stuff, probably because part of it has to do with them getting Raw in the future. So they're
television is the only thing that
Netflix doesn't,
that actually gets ratings,
like
good ratings.
Yeah.
Everything else is just kind of okay, cool. We can watch it whenever.
Yeah, but Netflix is, it is funny to see. It's they're testing the waters with live stuff before Raw shows up because they're going to need all their kinks worked out.
So as Michael said, 4 2-minute rounds, the referee does have the final decision if it goes the distance. And our competitors go face-to-face as the ref explains the rules. But then the bell rings, with the two trading jabs, followed by Marc hiding in the ropes anytime Bean gets aggressive. A Sable chant breaks out, which annoys Marc, when Butterbean would hit Mero out to the floor with a punch to the face while he was in the ropes.
That was fun. It's okay, cool, it's on.
The ref admonishes Bean before Mero makes his way back in, where they trade strikes again. When the bell rings, only for Marc to deliver a cheap shot to the back of the head, forcing the trainers to separate our two fighters. Round 2 starts with Mero nailing a running knee and choking with his wrist tape, while Butterbean's trainer is arguing with the ref. More jabs, roundhouse rights from Marc, but Bean fights back, only for Mero to rake the eyes and hit big right hands.
Him putting a thumb to Butterbean's eyes, it's
as he's wearing
boxing gloves, and then Butterbean selling it.
That's America.
That's WrestleMania.
Oh.
Yeah. I got such a kick out of that like, man, whew, sometimes it's the little things that just really tickle you.
Marc is sticking and moving when the bell rings. This time with Mero nailing a drop kick afterwards, followed by diving to the floor to avoid any consequences.
The chicken shit bully heel.
Round 3 starts with Butterbean chasing Marc around the ring, daring him to punch before knocking him down. But the bell saves Mero, only for Bean to not want the round to be over. So he revives his opponent with his spit bucket.
Mm-hmm. I mean, luckily it's just like spit out water, so it's not just pure spit, but either way.
It's yucky.
In round 4, Butterbean again knocks Marc down, daring him to rise, which he does with a low blow to be disqualified, followed by smashing a stool over the back of Bean and running for his life.
I love the gimmick stool because he like hits him once and he's like, fuck. And then like cracks him again and then it breaks and it looks good, but it's like, if they just loosened it a little bit more, he could have had a better grip on it because he has gloves on. There's a sign in the last round of the match that a guy holds up on the hard cam that just says, who booked this? Another thing that made me laugh quite a bit because like, I don't think this is like, it's stupid, but it's not like awful.
It's not unentertaining.
Yeah, it's not entertaining, but it's like, yeah, we are working on filling out the mid card. We're not quite there in '97.
No,
that's what we're at.
We're loading up that main event, but
yeah,
we're still finding those mid carders, and it's not the worst, not the worst thing we've seen, and definitely not the worst thing that we're going to see in future shows. But
it's wrestling, guys.
Yeah.
How often do you get a 100% wonderful show? I'd say almost never.
Post-match, Butterbean gives chase to the back, with Lawler saying, "Look out! It's the running of the bulls." That was a funny line.
Yeah, he's got to say something.
Bean.
Big old Bean.
And JR believes that Bean was ahead on points, with the King saying he'd like to see things from Ross's point of view, but he can't get his head up his own rear end.
I do love that when they showed their Butterbean and Mero's stats as if this was a boxing or MMA match, that they were basically even. It's like, one guy's like wingspan is has like a wingspan that's 1 inch smaller than the other guys, and it's like they were just basically made them even.
Yeah, and Butterbean's guys, whatever their names were again, Art and Murray, when he goes to like lunge at Marc the first time after he gets punched in the back of the head and he ends up knocking one or both of them down, I can't remember. They just kind of stand up like, yeah, that's part of the job. This happens all the time.
Yeah. They weren't told. They didn't. Nobody brought them into the exclusive club of wrestling. You got to sell it, brother.
A horde then starts blaring throughout the arena, and nobody knows what's going on, as even Lawler asked JR what he had for lunch. The sound then transitions into a distorted version of Goldust's theme, followed by Luna Vachon leading out the artist, formerly known as Goldust, on a chain.
And they're wearing like pink. Both of them are wearing like pink fishnets and like with like neon green accoutrement.
Yeah.
Luna has like Goldust's face paint on, and Goldust has like
Mardi Gras mask.
Yeah, it's like black and white, and it's
with this bright pink wig.
It's very bizarre, and I'm interested to see where this goes, Matthew.
Luna tells everyone to shut the hell up, because the artist would like to express himself in verse. And Goldust says he has prepared a little ditty, followed by reading Green Eggs and Ham in the campiest voice.
No.
Campy's away. He is doing what people would call he's impersonating quote unquote gay voice in like pretty poor fashion.
Yeah.
And fans are yelling at the artist, so he tells them to shut up. However, Vachon grows tired of this, shoving Goldust on his ass and calling him a scum suck.
Yes, she did.
Before dragging the artist through the curtain.
And no one knows what to do with this, including myself.
This is who he started hanging out with while Marlena was with Pillman.
Yeah. It's weird that he starts by just saying "I am Sam" over and over again before he gets it going. And it's like that's kind of bizarre to just say "I am Sam" over and over again because obviously makes us think of a man who thought a dog was telling him to kill people. But right now I'm thinking, thank God Goldust didn't die in '98 because this man has got to be on a lot of pills to be willing to do this. Because holy shit, it's not even interesting, which is the problem.
If he wasn't on pills before he started doing this most likely drove him into his pill era.
This was the thing that triggered him.
Yeah.
Michael Cole's then in the back with the Legion of Doom, asking them about the travesty on Raw, where Road Dogg and Billy Gunn had used a chair to win the tag belts. Animal says everyone saw it, that nobody can beat them fair and square. That's why they ran like sissies, because they got lucky. And Hawk calls them Mr. Dog and Mr. Ass, comparing them to a booger so deep in his nose, his finger can't reach it. But he digs and digs till he gets that booger before rolling it around and flicking it. So Mr. Dog and Mr. Ass, you better be prepared to be flicked. Ooh, what a booger.
I mean,
Jesus.
this is the thing about it is Legion of Doom, Road Warrior and Animal, maybe the coolest, most over thing of 86 or basically 84 to 86. They're just monsters selling out all over the country, and here, what do they give a shit anymore? And I do enjoy that Hawk is having a good time, and he's had some promos recently that have tickled us. Why would he keep saying, "Oh, what a rush"? He knows that they're not going to fucking be main eventing a pay-per-view anytime soon. He knows this is not the golden era of the Road Warriors. Why not flick him like a booger? Oh, what a booger. At least it's funny and memorable.
I thought it was
I did too.
It was cracking.
I did too.
My thought on it was Hawk has done so much blow in his time that that he's had many times where he's reached that finger up there and said that exact line of, "Oh, what a booger," and then just flicked that bad boy in his mouth and got the kick started from the night before.
Another interesting take. Mine was who cares? We're just happy to see LOD, and at least he hasn't been as fucked up as he was on the last run. It's he's doing totally fine. I know that he joined the power team and got religious and supposedly stopped partying so hard, and obviously it's not going to be 84 Road Warriors, but he's not embarrassing himself or his partner. So let him have fun. Let him flick a booger.
So we go to our fourth match, the Legion of Doom of Road Warrior Animal and Road Warrior Hawk versus Road Dogg Jesse James and Badass Billy Gunn for the WWF World Tag Team Championships.
Oh,
you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
Is that the first one?
That is the first time we've gotten it. But they don't. That's as much as we get on this time.
Yeah. He doesn't do that. He doesn't go fully into it. But it's he just has the mic while they're walking out. He hasn't put it all together yet, but it's scratched.
He's on his way.
Yeah, it scratched a part of my brain that had been scratched in a while.
And Road Dogg welcomes the fans to Jurassic Park. They are the tour guides, telling the fans not to feed the scary dinosaurs because they can get hostile. But fortunately, there is no T-Rex. And the Legion threatens their opponents, so the champs take off to the back, saying they're going to stretch. And they do some stretching and everything. And then James and Gunn head back out, only for the Road Warriors to chase them off again, with Dogg complaining that they can't even get into the ring, that officials come up from behind them and force them towards the ring, where the Road Warriors attack them from behind.
Jack Tunney would have never let that happen.
The champs get dragged back to the ring where Animal whips James with the belt, allowing the Road Warriors to control the action with clotheslines, drop kicks, and a neck breaker that sends Road Dogg and Badass out to regroup. And Hawk doesn't let them rest long as he leaps off the apron with a double clothesline, a big boot, and a double noggin knocker. The Road Warrior then brings James back in to keep up the attack, causing Road Dogg to bail once more, only for Hawk to ram him into the announce table. Now back in the ring, Animal catches James going for a leapfrog, dropping him with a power bomb and tossing him to the floor, followed by Hawk getting in some chops. And Gunn comes over to put a stop to it, only for Animal to press slam him onto the ring steps for his trouble, making the champs retreat down the aisle once again.
Third time's a charm.
LOD chased after them to brawl around ringside when the ref forces Animal to get in the corner, allowing Road Dogg to grab an ice cooler from under the ring, smashing it over Hawk's head, followed by a low blow and another ice cooler shot, which busts it into styrofoam pieces.
It is styrofoam, which is like, that's not good enough. It's like even less, unless there was full of ice and drinks, but even then, it's like, well, that'd be probably kind of hard to lift that way.
But hey, we've got plunder.
Yeah. It reminded me of a spot that I don't love, which is in New Japan when somebody hits somebody with the corner turnbuckle. Because I'm like, you hit him with a big pad. You hit him with like a kind of hard pillow. It's like, okay, fine.
But I mean, you also think of it, that's a wrestling move when it's not detached from the turnbuckle or the ropes, whatever. They take their head and smash it into that big pad.
Yeah, but there's the steel thing in there, and their hand, there's the force in it. But it's just like if I hit you over the back with like a bunch of pool noodles tied together. I'm okay with the buckle because it's like, you know, your head stops, so like you at least get like the whiplash or like potential concussion.
James capitalizes inside the ring with knee drops, a drop kick, and the worm for a 2 count.
Bad worm.
Pathetic worm.
Followed by Badass using strikes, chokes, a chin lock, and a knee drop that makes Hawk yell out obscenities.
A worm so bad that Scotty Taylor is in the back somewhere going, oh my god, I can do better than that.
Yeah, I got this.
And he does.
Gunn and the Road Warriors hit clotheslines to each other for a double KO before Badass whips Hawk to a corner, only for him to bounce back with the two men colliding again for another double KO. But this one allows the Road Warrior to make the crawl to his corner for the hot tag. Animal cleans house with clotheslines, a power slam to Road Dogg, jumping shoulder tackles to both men, and whip-aided corner clotheslines.
Like Jurassic Park, there's like this big thumping sound coming in the distance.
LOD sets up for the Doomsday device when Henry Godwin would run down, clocking Animal with the slot bucket as the ref is distracted by Gunn. Hawk then leaps off the top of the clothesline to knock Hog down, stealing away the bucket to nail everybody with it, causing a disqualification.
Well, Hawk, he just couldn't let the bucket go.
Yeah.
Oh, what a bucket.
This was fine. It was cool to put over this heel tag team and keep the belts on them so there's a chase. But I was finally like, yes, we're over the Godwins. And then the Godwins showed up. I was like, cool. I'm having a pretty good time. Like the New Age Outlaws. It's like, oh, Billy. Sorry.
Yes. Road Dogg
and Jesse James.
Mr. Ass.
And Mr. Ass. Mr. Ass finally has a character and is like interesting, and it seems like they're like 70% there right now. Mm-hmm. And so that's cool and interesting. And then the Godwins come in, and I'm like, oh yeah, fuck. I forgot about the Godwins.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah. They're still around for a little while.
JR then sends us to a video recap of our next feud, and where Sergeant Slaughter says December 7th will live in infamy for Triple H, while Michael Cole narration compares the commish to leaders such as FDR and Winston Churchill, but then implies that Sarge might just nuke Hunter.
What about that time he was an Iraqi sympathizer?
We see clips of Slaughter putting the Cobra Clutch on various wrestlers through the years, before going live to backstage, where Cole interviews Triple H, asking if he knew his disrespect would backfire on him, with Hunter responding that Michael is an idiot. Triple H then shows off his survival kit for Sarge, which contains a comb, Metamucil, prunes, and Depends, before declaring this isn't Slaughter's generation, or the next generation. This is D generation, and X marks the spot. Hunter finishes by saying he'll swing by the house to let Sarge's old lady smoke on his peace pipe.
Oh.
And it's like, that's the one where it's like, all right, the old jokes, I know what they're doing. They're doing what if NWO was good at being NWO, but the peace pipe joke was a little much.
It's
Just
right about.
leave
Just enough.
Miss Slaughter alone. You got enough woman right by your
She's
side.
used to being left alone. That's why Triple H wants to hang out with her.
I mean, Slaughter comes from a time where he probably only saw his wife 4 days a year.
So we go to our fifth match. Triple H with Chyna versus Sergeant Slaughter in a boot camp match. And the story behind this match was that Hunter had shoved Sarge after not agreeing with the match he had been placed in, telling Slaughter to keep his chin out of his business. And if he didn't, Triple H would show Sarge's wife what a real man looks like.
They should have a chin match. Chyna versus Slaughter.
Chin versus nose.
They both have pretty incredible chins. This is before Chyna gets her chin shaved down.
Mm-hmm.
And Slaughter bowed up, only to be attacked by DX. So Sarge challenged Hunter to this match.
Are you ready? Bow down to your master.
First time you get to hear that song.
I mean, what's funny is...
Break it down.
It's just kind of weird that, two of the most, iconic songs that you can think of from this era are, premiere on the same show.
Yeah, I when this came out, watching the show, I was like, oh, let me hit pause real quick. I looked up the guitar tab real quick, and then I was like, oh, that's fun. It's very, very easy, but I was just like, oh, let me play this. Learning how to play this would be fun. Did it similarly a few years ago with, what was Adam Cole's NXT group?
I almost said United Kingdom.
Boom.
Yeah, boom. Why can't we're so stupid? It was the most over thing in NXT for a long time, when NXT was good.
What's their name right now in AEW?
I don't even know if it exists.
Undisputed Kingdom.
Undisputed Era. There we go.
Back in NXT.
NXT,
I had to because I knew that it was just a word swap.
It was a similar thing. They had a great song, so I remember one day watching it and being like, let me pause. I'm going to look up how to play this on guitar real quick, because it's obviously easy, but it's fun to do.
It's like me back in the day, 4th grade, when I got my saxophone.
Nice.
I'm going to learn how to play this song, and it's 4 notes, so we're good.
Yeah, you looked up how to play...
Well, I started playing saxophone so I could play the theme song from Knots Landing. And then it just grew from there, because, Kenny G started getting big around that time, and, Wham was already big.
Yeah, I mean, the scene from The Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm.
So Jim Cornette's in the back with Sarge, saying he's had a long and storied career. But tonight, the commissioner suit's off, and the wrestling boots are on. Is Slaughter ready for Hunter? Sarge calls Triple H a piece of human excrement. He didn't come here for a wrestling match. He came to beat up a maggot. Who insulted his family. Slaughter continues that he may be old, but he's not dead. He can still beat that puke up. And that's in order.
Yep.
I mean,
in order.
He did a great job of doing a 1984 wrestling promo.
Yeah, I mean, we are just finishing up with LOD, so it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So Hunter attacks as Sarge makes his way to the ring, but Slaughter retaliates with a riding crop and strikes, followed by a gutbuster and throwing Triple H to the floor.
And I have to say it, Sarge comes out to a song we've heard a lot, but not from the song, not by the person who makes it famous and becomes synonymous with him. He comes out to the quote-unquote Kurt Angle theme.
You mean Patriots music?
The Patriots music.
Yes. But it makes me just confused because Sarge already has music. He's used his own music.
I think the song is so
before.
good, they're just trying to get it over by all means.
They're just trying to keep it an earworm in people's head. And see, they shouldn't. They should have just let it go.
Sarge continues the punishment by ramming Hunter into the ring steps and the guardrail, but then makes a cover, only for the ref to remind him that it's not falls count anywhere. It's just a street fight. And they make their way back into the ring for Slaughter to whip Triple H with his belt and goes for a Cobra Clutch. But Hunter blocks and sends Sarge into a flare flip out to the floor.
Sarge taking a big old bump, and he is much older man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a harder bump than Hogan has taken in his entire career, and Sarge just did it here in 1997. Insane. Big ups. I mean, round of applause for Sarge. You didn't have to do that, but you did, and you are appreciated.
Just hoping for that, next title run, man.
Well, after he takes a bump like that, put it on him. Who cares?
Triple H rams Slaughter into the steps and railing before trying to grab the ring bell, only for the timekeeper to fight him momentarily. But he gets clocked with the bell, knocking Marc out.
I feel like that Sarge is like, all right, this is what we're going to do. Because it's like, we're doing ring bells. Like, it's a thing, but it feels like a throwback.
I'm 60 years old. We got to do all the bells and whistles to make this look impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see if it's successful, but
You got a yeet in there.
As Hunter makes his way back to his opponent, Sarge fires up with a clothesline that knocks the ring bell out of his hands. But he can't capitalize, allowing Triple H to regain the bell to use over the back of Slaughter. They're back in the ring. Hunter's using the belt for whips and chokes when Chyna hands him a chain for a loaded punch, followed by a second rope knee drop for a 2 count. Sarge begins to fire up, blocking several right hands and delivering his own, stealing away the chain and wrapping it around his fist, charging at Triple H, only to be back body dropped out to the floor.
oh my god, double big old bumps. This man's crazy.
Slaughter's rolled back in before Hunter goes to the top, flying off only for Sarge to get a boot up to the chin.
He took that time to do that. Silly suck it. You should have just jumped.
Slaughter tries to follow up with a body slam, but he collapses. So Triple H looks to hit a suplex, only for it to be reversed. Sarge then climbs the turnbuckles, but Hunter meets him there to slam him off to the mat for a near fall, followed by a sleeper, which Slaughter counters his way into a Cobra Clutch, which draws Chyna into the ring to rake Sarge's eyes, assault the ref, and grab a chair, only for Slaughter to throw powder into her face. Triple H is recovered to remove his boot, hitting Sarge with it, and he goes for a second one, but Sarge counters it into another Cobra Clutch, only for Chyna to make her way back in to kick Slaughter in his G.I. Joes, allowing Hunter to deliver a pedigree onto a chair for the pin and the win.
And I do love that Sarge, it's the 3 count, but he's just a split second too late because he kicks because it was so exhausted he couldn't do it. Shows that he's still got the fight in him, which he just proved without beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
I mean, this was so much better than I expected, and Sarge did great. But have we ever? I'm trying to think. Is we ever had a reason to doubt him? But there was the time in the early '90s where it's he was just kind of there.
Yeah.
But here, he's an actual angle. He's being featured. He's getting paid probably better than he was then.
For me, it wasn't so much that I doubted him. I just didn't believe in him back in the early 90s.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's we know he's capable, but here, it's he's ready to do the thing, and he impressed the hell out of him.
See, for me, when I was introduced to him back in the 90s, or early 90s, I should say, because it's still technically the 90s.
Yeah, you didn't watch him in his heyday.
Yeah, didn't watch him in his heyday, and I just knew of him as that guy that was also on G.I. Joe. And why the fuck do I want this cartoon voice?
So he was important in the past, but
Not realizing that Zeus...
That's in order.
Yeah. Zeus was in his own right a cartoon character, and Hogan was technically a cartoon character.
They all were.
Yep.
I mean, what was the show called? The Rock and Wrestling.
Yep.
You ever tried to watch it? The animation's so bad.
Nope.
Yeah,
Well,
I've watched
I guess
a little
I have
bit.
before, but not enough.
Yeah, you can find them on YouTube.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of them on YouTube, and I'm like, damn, this is bad. It's just nice to see, Roddy and Junkyard. And
I was going to say,
some of
you
those
got to have
guys.
JYD.
Yeah.
Michael Cole is backstage with Jeff Jarrett. And Michael says it's time for Double J's in-ring debut, asking if he's nervous to go up against The Undertaker. And Jarrett responds by calling Cole Marc,
I got a kick out of that.
before saying he'll start at the top, putting the dead man on his long list of defeated opponents, which will make him the number one contender, as it's only a matter of time till he's the WWF champion.
Jeff's got that, yeah. It's Jeff. He's just he's just good.
Mm-hmm.
He's baseline good.
So we go to our sixth match. Jeff Jarrett versus The Undertaker. And the story behind this match was that Double J had arrived with a new prima donna personality.
A new?
Even more than what he was.
Okay, yeah.
Something like, ain't I great? Look at my big
Fancying
glowing hat.
himself a big star. And would only wrestle if the WWF would meet his demands. But Slaughter would have none of this nonsense, saying he would suspend Jarrett if he refused to wrestle. And then Sarge pulled a Teddy Long and said, "You're facing The Undertaker."
Yeah. It's like, all right, well, we're going to put you up with basically the guy that's like, Undertaker is the standard bearer and test for the WWF for so long, where it's like, all right, well, the top of the card is the two guys that are feuding over a belt over the course of the year. But Undertaker is like one step below, can get the belt at any time, and doesn't lose often. And if he does lose, it's a big deal. So like he is the gatekeeper to the title.
And Jarrett's music starts, and I don't think I had ever heard this music before, because I'm just used to his country music theme. But it literally says, "There's all the great WWF superstars. Then there's me, the one, the only, the world's greatest wrestler."
And it's like Jarrett doing voiceover on top of this like kind of tranquil, weird like synth song. The song's good. I like the song. I just don't know that it's a great pairing. I think that it's just a good... I don't even know if it's a good wrestling song, but I think it's an interesting piece of music.
I wonder if it's an actual song that he walked out to, or if that's just a little something that they stuffed in there.
It seemed like it was. It seemed like it was part of it. But he has this new gear that's very elaborate, like a big robe. It's like orange and blue and white. It looks honestly like something
country,
like Hiroshi Tanahashi would wear more than Jeff Jarrett.
So the match gets going as Double J sticks and moves at first, until Taker throws him into a corner to nail right hands, clotheslines, and shoulder blocks, before delivering old school and chokes. And Jarrett slows the momentum with a back elbow and ducking a big boot, before going after the knee, ramming it into the apron and pouncing on it. The dead man fires back with right hands, a backbreaker, leg drop, and a big boot, when the lights would go out and organ music begins to play. Oh no. And Kane arrives to the ring, with Double J just being like, "Go get it."
Yeah, he's like, clean up my dirty work.
Only for the Big Red Machine to choke slam Jarrett to cause a disqualification. Post-match, the two brothers get into each other's face.
Undertaker said he'd never fight his brother.
When Kane would slap Taker, only for him to just shake it off and not retaliate.
Mm-hmm.
So the Big Red Machine sets off his pyro and leaves, with the dead man staring in disbelief.
Screw you, I'm going home.
Send out a message. This is prime South Park era. You see the shirts, you see the signs.
While the Undertaker's distracted, Double J hits a chop block from behind, attempting a figure four, only for Taker to grab him by the throat to nail another chokeslam.
Almost too big. He almost loses grip of him like midair.
And as the dead man leaves, Jarrett's demanding the ref raise his hand and does some strutting. I was like, way to sell that chokeslam.
Yeah.
Or both of them, technically.
It was weird. It was like, well, I guess everybody has to leave in good fashion because Jarrett just showed up. Undertaker's Undertaker, and then Kane is this new scary thing. So it was surprising that Jarrett, like I guess they don't want to murder him completely as soon as he's back. But this might not have been the way to do it, but him no-selling a chokeslam. Or not no-selling it completely, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's strutting less than 5 minutes afterwards.
So I got a fun fact here for you. Jarrett basically buried his own push by pissing off Stone Cold during interviews as he called Austin 316 blasphemous. And no one told Austin that he was going to say this. And the two men already had heat from back in the day when they were in Memphis. And this was basically the last straw, as Stone Cold went into Vince and said, I will never work with Double J.
I mean...
And guess who has the belt for most of the next 2 or 3 years?
Not Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, exactly.
But Stone Cold was obviously the younger guy at the time. Jeff Jarrett had more ties to Memphis. I could see Jeff Jarrett...
Jeff Jarrett's younger.
He's younger, but I could see him being a dismissive young punk to somebody that's not from the Memphis area.
Oh, yeah. Because his dad also ran the promotion.
Yeah, exactly. I can see Austin being like, you know what, fuck that guy, he was a dickhead. But either, yeah. I mean, the blasphemous thing is like, okay, I'm the hottest thing right now. And,
yeah, it basically just kind of sounds like Jarrett tried to get into the main event scene by, like...
Too quickly
and not letting the natural push happen.
Yeah, it's like you shouldn't be even talking about Steve Austin unless they told you to.
Yeah.
Because he might not have the belt, but he is the guy.
Man, Austin hates Double J so much that he marries his former manager.
I wonder how they feel about each other these days.
Yeah.
Can't imagine...
you talking Austin and Double J?
Yeah, I can't imagine their buddies.
They've done an episode of Austin's little show that he had a year or two ago, and they addressed the tension.
I feel like they buried the hatchet enough to at least be...
I can't even say it.
Yeah, because I remember seeing a clip of it where Austin said something about, there's a rumor going around for years that you and I don't like each other. And I never watched the show to see what the outcome was, but I mean, they were smiling and laughing on the clip, so.
They were cheersing a beer. Oh, never mind, that's too dark. I was going to make a joke about them both hitting their wife. But that's not funny.
Michael Cole is in the Milton Bradley rooting section with Mark Henry. We haven't seen him since In Your House 10, Mind Games, episode 221.
I mean, if there's an In Your House every other month, we're at In Your House 19.
Yeah, it's like I had to flip back because I couldn't remember what number this was.
It's basically been like 2 years, it feels like.
Yeah,
it's
not
6 months.
Yeah. But it's cool to see Mark Henry. It was one of those things that I got excited about a while ago, and then it's like, oh, well, it doesn't really mean anything. It's like we saw him a while ago, but then trained him up or whatever, and now it's like, okay, well, I guess now, maybe it's this time that they're going to start using Mark Henry.
And Michael says that Mark's hanging out with the big wigs from the toy company when Cole would ask Henry when he'll return to the ring, with Mark responding, in a week or so. And Michael also asked for a prediction on the Intercontinental title match, with Henry saying, Stone Cold. That's my man. It's like, Austin and Henry. Yeah, I can see that being a...
They're buddies. Also, Mark Henry might be the most, likable guy on the planet. Like, just hear him sitting there doesn't seem like he's doing a promo. It just seems like he's just being a dude, and seems like the kind of guy you want to have a beer with and be around. Yeah. He's so charming. It's crazy how charming he is.
JR and the King discuss the next match before going to a video recap where we see highlights of Rocky Maivia first coming into the WWF.
The young blue chip star.
How success went to his head, followed by clips of The Rock praising himself in the third person. Narration tells us that his opponent, Austin, is different. He isn't a member of a nation or a brotherhood, and he has no creed. He just hands out stunners and ass whippings before highlights of all of the nation getting stunners. Rocky promises to wear his Intercontinental title come hell or high water, even as we see him stealing it out of the ring during one of his attacks. The Rock would then receive a shocking message on his beeper before Stone Cold attacks, followed by Austin showing up with his pickup truck to taunt Rocky.
The beeper joke.
Yep.
So funny. Picks up his beeper and it just says 316. It is so stupid and so funny and so of a time. It's great.
Because Austin says something along the lines of, if your beeper shows 316, it means your ass is mine, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, there he is.
We then go backstage to Doc Hendricks, who's with the Nation of Domination, where he calls Stone Cold the most dangerous man in the WWF. I think Ken Shamrock. I thought that was him.
I know. He's in the main event, for Christ's sake.
But The Rock has had enough of Hendricks' stupid statements, reminding him that he's the most dangerous IC champ, the people's champ, and the best IC champ there ever was.
The People's Champ has begun.
So we go to our 7th match. The Rock with the Nation of Domination versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. The story behind this match was that Farouk urged Rocky Maivia to challenge for the IC belt. So we went out and promised to make Stone Cold a has-been, courtesy of The Rock. Austin would challenge him to get a better haircut and flush himself down the toilet. That he sucks, because Stone Cold said so. Rocky would then steal the belt during a match, having non-title matches and claiming he was the best damn IC champ. And when he gets to the ring, The Rock takes the mic to say that it's finally time for The Rock to defend his Intercontinental Championship, as the crowd chants that he sucks.
So, Rock enters with the championship belt, huh? Is that a foreshadowing moment?
No,
It's not
another
his.
champ.
He's just a thief. He's just healing it up, brother.
The glass breaks, middle fingers go up, and Stone Cold drives his pickup truck to ringside before stomping a mud hole in Rocky's ass until the Nation jumps him.
Fans are going apeshit.
Austin fights back dropping D'Lo over the ropes and onto the windshield, which shatters it, followed by a stunner on the roof.
I mean, come on. This is crazy.
Stone Cold returns to the ring where the bell rings with the two trading strikes until Austin nails a Thez press in right hands, which turns into multiple pin attempts from both men before Stone Cold is tossed to the floor where the Nation attacks again. Kama grabs a chair, but he hits Farouk when Austin moves, allowing him to whip the big man into the truck as well. Stone Cold returns to the ring where The Rock keeps up the attack, using strikes and a low blow, followed by slamming Austin down and nailing a not-so-electrifying elbow drop for a 2 count.
It's not quite electrifying.
Rocky goes for another, even removing the elbow pad this time to make it more devastating. The Stone Cold avoids and starts to work over The Rock. And Kama's made his way to the apron, so Austin knocks him down before hitting a stunner on the person behind him. Unfortunately, it was the ref.
Ref bomb.
Nuts.
And Rocky uses the opening to grab some brass knuckles, only for Stone Cold to block and deliver a stunner with another ref running down to make the count for the pin and the win.
And still.
I got some fun facts for you, though.
Okay.
The very next night on Raw, we're not covering it, Vince would grant a rematch due to the ref bump, but Austin refused to face The Rock. So McMahon stripped him of the belt and awarded it to Rocky. Stone Cold said he didn't care because he's now had his sights set on the world title. But before he handed the title belt over, Austin would toss the belt into a river, marking the end of the classic IC belt.
Yep, I remember that footage.
Mm-hmm.
From packages, I don't believe I did. Yeah, I don't believe I was watching at this point, but I do remember. I can picture that, him throwing that into the river. It is very funny. It seems stupid, with the exception of McMahon being the nemesis of Stone Cold, and so it's okay, well, that feud is always bubbling, and it hasn't been going on for very long, so all it does is put more fire under Steve Austin, and The Rock has just started to prove himself, but he's proved himself as a heel that people hate. So what's going to make them hate him even more and love Stone Cold even more and love watching Austin and McMahon? I mean, these are the three superstars for the next handful of years.
Yep. McMahon
is just as big of a star as the other two in a different way. And this is kind of the genesis of, this is the three of them sharing a beer before they go to war, but with each other.
And I also want to point out the little pre-match interview backstage with The Rock, or just with the Nation. Just the positioning of everybody backstage. You kind of saw the shift of the Nation taking place, because you had Rock with D'Lo and Kama behind him, and then you had Farouk off in the corner by himself, not really making contact with the camera or looking at the guys at all. And the Nation is starting to crumble.
Another thing is that McMahon didn't even have a good reason to hand it off, because the Nation was down there and they attacked Stone Cold. He just got the better of them. And shout out to D'Lo Brown for selling a stunner for, I don't know, a good 12 minutes, just hanging out in the back of a truck.
Yeah,
Really?
He'd just gotten thrown through
the glass. Yeah, it was just fun to see him. There's a spot later on in the match where they put the camera on him, and you can kind of see him just look at the corners. I still gotta get him still selling, right? It's still going on.
JR then sends us to a video recap of our main event, where we see clips of Ken Shamrock putting people in the ankle lock, followed by footage of him snapping and going crazy, before Shawn Michaels claims he's immune to Ken's ankle hold, as Triple H twists an obviously fake leg 360 degrees.
Yeah, he basically just spins his boot all the way around.
As the Heartbreak Kid jokes that DX always has a leg up on the competition. We then see footage of D-Generation X beating up on Jim Neidhart, which led to Shamrock coming to his aid, hitting a belly-to-belly suplex and applying the ankle lock to Shawn.
As Sergeant Slaughter put the Cobra Clutch on Triple H, set up two big matches for that pay-per-view.
Jim Cornette's then in the locker room with Ken, saying he's no stranger to fighting on pay-per-view, but Michaels has the experience in wrestling. Shamrock agrees, but he's in the zone, so Heartbreak Kid will squeal like a baby before following him through the curtain and into the arena. Ross then interviews DX from the announce table, accusing Shawn of being disrespectful, which prompts Michaels to say, "What do you mean I don't respect anything, you fat tub of goo?"
That's my dude.
Heartbreak Kid moves on to Ken, saying he will show him why he's the number one man in the WWF, before calling JR Girth Brooks.
I was like, you better not miss Girth Brooks.
To the ring. So we get our 8th match, Ken Shamrock versus the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, with Triple H and Chyna for the WWF Championship. The Heartbreak Kid with jabs to start, before he starts running the ropes, ducking multiple back elbows, until a vicious kick sends Shawn crashing out to the floor to regroup. Now once he returns, Shamrock corners Michaels to deliver hard body shots, a heel toss, a back body drop, and a whip for a flare flip out to the floor to regroup once again. Chyna jumps on the apron to distract Ken, allowing HBK to return to the ring. But Shamrock turns in time for more strikes, only for Shawn to duck a clothesline and nail some mounted punches in the corner, with Ken just continuously shoving him off. But a rake of the eye seems to change the momentum, only for Shamrock to block and reverse a vertical suplex, followed by a clothesline that sends Michaels back out to the floor.
Ken is so explosive and exciting, and fans like him, and Shawn is selling his ass off. But Shawn is selling his ass off because this is Ken Shamrock and not Bret Hart.
Yes.
Yep.
This is...
He is doing it because he knows that if he says he wants to keep the belt, he's going to get to keep the belt.
I'll take this match with Ken, but
I mean,
I'm going to keep the belt.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm having a blast, so it is what it is.
Triple H is helping HBK get to his feet, so Ken grabs them both for a double Naga-knocker. Before dragging Shawn back to the apron, where he rakes the eyes, slides under Shamrock to enter the ring and deliver strikes. But after a reverse whip, Ken telegraphs a back body drop.
Don't do it.
With Michaels hitting a sunset flip, only for Shamrock to stay up and punch down.
And boy, does it.
Ken then double choke lifts the Heartbreak Kid, delivers more body shots, and tosses him hard across the ring, where he lands on top of the turnbuckle, with Shamrock kicking it to knock Shawn onto the ropes, crotch first.
I mean, Shawn Michaels is almost overselling. That's how hard he is going right now. Because I guess maybe he's just having fun at this point.
I mean, he's the official showstopper now. You know?
Yeah.
In previous weeks, it was said in a little promo that he's not the showstopper until he knocks Bret out of business, basically.
Well, because he doesn't have, at the moment, he doesn't have any real competition with the exception of Austin, and we're just not there yet.
Yep.
Ken goes for a belly-to-belly suplex, but Shawn grabs the ref to block, allowing him to go low with a mule kick, followed by a clothesline that takes them both to the floor. Michaels then skins the cat back into the ring, while Hunter gets a few cheap shots in, as the Heartbreak Kid heads up top for a crossbody, before also nailing a baseball slide. Shawn tries for another, only for Shamrock to avoid and hit more body shots, even turning to take down Triple H when he looks to intervene. But Chyna still is able to charge in to shove Ken into the ring post, followed by a body slam. And Hunter recovers to choke Shamrock before Michaels dives off the apron with a splash, followed by Triple H ramming Shamrock into the railing and returning him to the ring. HBK works the back with double axe handles, second rope elbow drops, and stomps before a dropkick gets a 2 count. Shawn continues with turnbuckle smashes, hard whips into corners and chokes, followed by Hunter getting some rapid punches in as well. Michaels goes for more turnbuckle smashes, only for Ken to block and reverse before whipping the Heartbreak Kid to a corner, where he leaps up and off with a crossbody. Shamrock rolls through for the pin, and the "No!" Shawn kicks out. Michaels then rakes the eyes and begins to wear down Ken with chin locks and sleepers, until Shamrock can fight back by ramming the Heartbreak Kid into a corner, hitting back elbows and corner clotheslines, followed by a back body drop and a power slam for a near fall. Ken then nails a hurricanrana and mounted punches on the mat. But after a whip to the ropes, Shawn rolls up Shamrock with a crucifix pin attempt, only for Shamrock to roll back through for a 2 count.
And Shawn Michaels, obviously great, but not nearly as good at hiding, calling the spots, because you can see him just whispering sweet nothings into Ken's ears the whole match.
Michaels rakes the eyes to slow the momentum and sends Ken to the ropes, where he doesn't hit them correctly and falling to the ground in pain.
Yeah, that was bizarre because the camera shot was at like a weird angle, but so it's like went back. It's like, what happened? Did he get tripped from the floor or what? But it's like, no, he just hit the ropes, but his like head slipped under the top one. It looked like it hurt.
The Heartbreak Kid begins the choking, followed by a hurricanrana, only for Shamrock to counter it into a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. Ken's whip is then reversed, with DX tripping him and dragging him back to the floor to attack, while Shawn distracts the ref. Now back in, Michaels slams Shamrock down before heading to the top for an elbow drop, followed by setting up for his finisher. However, Ken ducks and nails a belly-to-belly suplex and applies the ankle lock, only for DX to jump in the ring to attack, causing a disqualification.
Damn.
Post-match, Shamrock continues to be beaten down in and outside of the ring, while Shawn celebrates on the apron, when a man in a hoodie jumps in the ring, shoving Michaels through the Spanish announce table.
We've seen this before. Is Marty Jannetty back again?
It's Owen Hart, who peppers the Heartbreak Kid with right hands to bust him open, until Triple H spots this and comes to the rescue. Owen escapes into the crowd as Fink announces that Ken won, but Shawn remains champion, as you hear Shamrock kick the ring steps in frustration. And JR says payback will be hell for DX, before wondering where Hart went, as fans throw trash as Michaels, Hunter, and Chyna in the ring. Rosslyn says his goodbyes as we fade to black. So the next feud for Shawn must be Owen, right?
Obviously.
They do have a match on Raw in a few weeks, but that's it.
Yeah, I know.
Because Michaels was scared Hart would shoot on him.
And he knew that he could.
So Owens was shunted to the mid-card for the rest of his career.
Yeah, which is a shame, but I was surprised, and I'm sure plenty of people were, that this Owen spot happened. Because it's like, oh, this is too close for comfort. He bloodies his nose, and it's really intense after an incredibly intense and hard-hitting main event. It's like, well, here's the cherry on top. But I can see why Shawn would be afraid of a card-carrying member of the dungeon.
Yeah,
that's the weird, the weighing the pros and cons of Shawn Michaels is a difficult game, but when the ring input is great, it's not only great, it's incredible, but the politicking is obnoxious to say the least at times. So it's like, well, what are you going to do?
So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts about D-Generation X in your house?
Some really good matches, some not so satisfying finishes, but the finishes do make sense because they're setting stuff up. Like, if you started the fire and now you're feeding it, and you gotta keep feeding it before you go to bed and start a new day. So this is not a big four pay-per-view, so I'm not mad about the finishes. And there's like great moments, great performances. Totally worth watching show for the most part, with the exception of DOA and the Boricuas. But who would have expected Slaughter to go that hard? I didn't expect Ken and Michaels to be as good as it was, and I think it was some of the most fun I've had watching a match that we've covered for one of these shows in a little while. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad at it. Not even bring up The Rock or Stone Cold.
Kind of along the same lines there. I mean, it was a fun show. It had a lot of what they've been doing lately on a lot of the WWF shows was planting seeds for the future. Yeah, it's just, like you said, there was wonky finishes, a little too much, and then a puzzling moment at the end there because when Owen came down, I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. But then at the same time, it was, why the fuck don't I remember this feud at all?
That's a good point. It's like what we would have talked if this feud went on to be what it could have been. It had the potential to be one of the most talked about things from the late 90s.
I mean, had it gone on, I don't know.
It would have pushed Owen up to the top.
Yeah, I don't know if we would have had Austin versus Michaels at Mania, because this was a feud that they could have.
It's bigger than Austin because Brett has been this lifelong WWF guy. It's like, yeah, he worked before, but that was like in the early 80s that he was working elsewhere. But he's been in the WWF for so long. He's been a company man.
Since WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, he's been there, and pretty wild. And I don't know if we said this, but I'm pretty, or correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the last branded In Your House of its original iteration, correct?
This is like the last In Your House, yeah, until NXT.
Yeah.
No.
Is it not?
It's not?
St. Valentine's.
Oh, was that
Massacre
in
is the
Your
last
House?
one.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the last one of 97, and there's like one more in 98.
It was the last one on my In Your House list on Peacock. Because I think St. Valentine's Day Massacre is
when they
St.
started
Valentine's
naming.
Day Massacre.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
But either, I thought it was really interesting if that's the last one, and this is what they're setting up, and then this is the one where it's like, oh, the tagline is fucking attitude. DX theme song all over the place. DX all over the place, and it's like, In Your House? No more In Your House set, which obviously isn't here. We have the big DX set, which I don't know if we talked about, but like they're like, oh, we've been building up to this, so it's not a fresh new start, but like we are leaving that era behind us.
I did find that funny too.
Yeah, it's just on the network that
The lower
it's like
text.
separating them out. St. Valentine's Massacre in 99 is the last.
Okay.
Oh, in 99?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Technically the last one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just the way that they have it. They rewrite their own history. It's the WWF.
So I saw this line in various things when I was doing research and whatnot. Maybe they should have named this pay-per-view Disqualification in Your House.
Yeah.
As literally half the matches in that way. Like you said, some make sense because there's storyline and character development involved in why there's disqualification.
And some of the matches are so good that like you can't even be that mad. Because you're like, of course that's what makes sense right now.
But
Because Ken Shamrock could have won.
But some of them were just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Like
Godwin's.
the Godwin coming down, that one's just like,
We don't
what are
need the Godwins.
What are we doing? I don't personally like the finish in the main event. I know the reason that they did it was so you're not pitting
Ken Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock.
Which I appreciated.
But there's a better way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because literally he gets him in the ankle lock and DX has been attacking, Triple H and Chyna have been attacking him the entire time. And then all of a sudden,
Ken Shamrock looks like a complete fucking badass monster in this whole match.
And then they just all of a sudden run in and attack in the middle of the ring, and
Yeah.
we've wasted 20 minutes of our time.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of like
20 entertaining minutes.
I mean,
But I know what you mean. Yeah.
I just feel like there could have been a better way of getting to that point. Like, I don't feel like pinning someone makes anyone lose anything if they've had a
Performance like Ken
good
Shamrock
performance.
did in this match.
So literally,
Ken Shamrock hit that Hurricane Rana, I popped.
if Triple H and Chyna do something that causes Ken Shamrock to lose, I don't think he loses anything there.
No,
so I think they could have gone and
he got
they could have still pinned him. I know that's not how they think sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyways, but yeah, that was my thoughts.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right. Fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So what are some of the best moments of this show?
Well, it wasn't gold dust. I love the intensity of the main event. I love how intense Ken Shamrock is. I love how much Shawn Michaels is just selling for him all over the place. I found it incredibly entertaining and very fun. And even if the finish was not the greatest, the payoff of the finish with Owen coming out was extremely exciting. If I watched this in 97, if I was currently watching and I had this pay-per-view, I probably would have been losing my mind at the end of it, I'd imagine. Because it's kind of doing what a good wrestling show can do. Like, I cared. You don't always care in a main event where you know... It's like, I know Shamrock's not winning, but I still cared. And I still wanted him to win. And he put on a winning performance. Of course, can't help but give it up to Slaughter, taking 2 big old bumps to the floor, and really putting in the work when he didn't have to. He wanted to, and I love him even more for doing it.
Dickhead Marc Mero. He's
not bad at it.
leaning into that character nicely. I mean, obviously Owen.
Yeah.
His shining moment there that we've all been waiting for him to have, only then it just gets snuffed out too soon.
Because Shawn was squealed.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, just the look of Owen in that moment. It was something that I hadn't seen from him before, with the exception of when they went to England, the one night only show where the crowd was cheering him. You know, the look on his face then with the crowd behind him is almost in line with what it was here on this night, but there was just something different about the look of Owen. He looked a little more intense, a little thicker, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you because of what you did to my brother.
It's the famous sign from Bill Watts' office, personal issues draw money. Mm-hmm. And this is a personal issue, and everybody knows. Like, absolutely everybody knows. Even if they're more of a WCW guy than a WWF guy, everybody knows. And Shawn leaves with a bloody nose that looks like a shoot bloody nose. Mm-hmm. So it's exciting. Can't help it. And then the look on Owen's face and his whole energy is completely palpable. It's got a big fight feel, which is kind of what we're chasing all the time. We're not always just chasing moves. We want a little bit of heart in it. No pun intended.
I'm gonna throw some flowers Brian Christopher's way.
Mm-hmm. He was great.
I totally went into this match feeling like he was gonna probably wrestle a Memphis style match. Mm-hmm. And
sprinkled in the spin in his heel.
He upped his game to match Taka. Now, obviously, you even said it after we covered. Not as good as some of the most of the cruiserweight stuff that we see in WCW.
Yeah. Or we can't compare the WCW stuff even to the New Japan stuff. But for each show, they have a different style that they want to purvey in that same way.
Because I totally expected Brian to just go to Chinlock City.
You expected him to go full Waller.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And like I said, I felt like he matched Taka's energy. I mean, he's never going to be able to go move for move with Michinoku.
No, but he shouldn't. He's the heel.
Exactly.
And he's bigger. He's got.
I just wanted to make sure that he got a few flowers because.
No, it was well deserved.
No, it was. I was impressed and surprised.
Obviously, we mentioned it while we were going through, but we had the two Road Dogg and Badass Billy Gunn. Their whole "Oh, you didn't know," which literally anyone says, "Oh, you didn't know," and literally as soon as they say it,
your ass better call somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously the DX music in its full glory.
I mean, we were talking about it, it's like, okay, they're not the New Age Outlaws. You can beep it out if you want. Yeah. But they're 70% of the way here.
After just a couple weeks of being together.
Exactly. It's like, it's like they know. It's like, it's
they're already way more over than the Smoking Guns ever were.
Yeah, headbangers who? I mean, come on.
And then we didn't even really mention it, but it's The Rock.
Yes.
Yeah, The Rock and Austin. None of us have even talked about it because it's like, well, it's so obvious. What is there even to say?
Yeah. I mean,
it's firing on.
Literally, last time we talked about it, he's Rocky Maivia, and he's started calling himself in the third person. Mm-hmm. So he's The Rock. He says "People's Champ."
Yep.
I mean, literally,
he drops a not so electrifying elbow, but he at least dropped an elbow.
I mean, he tore the elbow pad. He threw the elbow pad off. He didn't throw it out of the crowd.
The only thing he didn't do was cross the arms, which I think is the stupidest part of it because. It's wasted time.
In his promo, he did throw out a finally, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when he came in the ring, he was like, finally I'm here.
Yeah, yep. He just didn't quite have the pause, but he hasn't earned the pause yet.
How about most disappointing?
Whatever Goldust is doing.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Boricuas
and I don't know what it was. I truly don't. I mean, yeah, that stunk.
The gang war rap.
But the gang war thing, they've been trying to do it for a while, and I feel like
they got it right.
This is the time to stop.
We praised them when the teams fought after the match was thrown together or was that the day that the time that they wrestled where we liked it? Where
It was SummerSlam, right?
was it SummerSlam or was it the show where Pillman passed away and they had to throw a match together real
It was
quick?
the
We praised them on that show, and then we could have just let it finish there. We don't need this shit.
The thing is that it's like, okay,
They did something interesting. I'm not going to say that it was entertaining.
Yeah.
They did something interesting, different than, obviously different than 4 of the other matches on this show because they didn't have a disqualification.
True.
Yeah. The thing with the Boricuas and DOA is, like, I don't think that any of the men in either team are complete trash. The thing is that they are all, like, essentially nameless, even though we can all probably say, rattle off most of their names. Nobody
Every
cares.
single one of them walked in that door fully clothed because that's about the only way I can tell who Miguel Perez is.
Yeah.
I would not be able to tell you which one is which on any of the 8 men.
And the other issue is that it's like nobody really cares about Crush and nobody really cares about Savio Vega.
Chainz.
Right.
I could tell which one he is because he's not a twin.
Yeah. Yeah, because, A-Ball and Skull. The announcers don't even know. But Savio is not that over. Crush is not that over. And they are the leaders of 4 other men that are way less over. So it's just, it feels like undercard bullshit. It should have been the first match. But it was the second match. It should have been over by now, I guess, more than anything. But it is what it is.
It could have been the first match on an ECW show, but I don't want this to start a
No, it can't start. You're right. It can't start. It's our second match, piss match.
Yeah.
Why did Mero need to lose by disqualification?
Because Butterbean actually knocks people out.
I think at one point they were thinking they were going to have these two do a
But
real program.
once again, just have the ref be distracted hitting with the thing and then pinning.
Yeah.
Or having knocked out by that. Like, you didn't get knocked out by a punch. If you wanna have this whole I can't get beaten by another legitimate boxer, which is the other thing. Like, Mero's a legitimate boxer as well. Mm-hmm. So losing to him isn't the worst thing.
He's the Golden Glove champion in 1984 at the age of 17 or something.
My guess is Butterbean has it in his contract.
I'm sure, but it's just it did nothing. That match did nothing for anyone.
We're gonna bring you in, and you're gonna be our Toughman that puts together this.
The only benefit it had was that it helped round out Mero's heel, but and the fact that Butterbean was on there, and Butterbean was a phenomenon.
Technically, a coward heel, which is what he portrays during the match.
Yeah,
is completely different than a berating women heel that they establish in promos and stuff. Those are 2 different things. If he's going to be the woman hater, he needs to be the alpha in the matches.
I can see the marriage of them being because most people, anybody that hits a woman is a chicken shit. But it's I can see the marriage of the 2 things, but it needs to be a little bit more cohesive. Instead of he didn't marry the 2 of them very well, where it's okay, well, I'm doing this now and then this later. It's you need to blend them together a bit.
How about best performer of the night?
It's a tough choice.
It's Slaughter. Come on now.
We all know The Rock and Austin are going to continue to do an incredible job, but my issue is that Ken Shamrock has been good, but Ken Shamrock impressed the hell out of me on this show. So I'm going to give it to Slaughter because we'll never get another chance. But I have nothing but.
Is it Crush because he's not here?
I got nothing but flowers.
We'll give him an honorable mention.
Nothing but flowers for Ken Shamrock. I was so juiced up by his performance. I was like, man, imagine a world where Ken Shamrock could have been a champion, and it's well, it probably couldn't have been in the WWF, but he's just so intense and believable. And Shawn did such a great job of being the big bumping show clown to him, not clown in a goofy way, but it's he is taking the, boot to the gut and popping up and landing crotch first and like taking all these big bumps and doing everything so well and just being a great punching bag for
Shawn like only Shawn can Shawn.
Exactly.
Slaughter gets it for me too. I had to scroll through just to see if there was anything else.
Slaughter, but it should if you asked me if it was going to be good before I watched it, if you just told me the card, I'd been like, oh, Slaughter and Triple H, what?
Yeah.
And then I couldn't have been more impressed.
Apparently, we give no shits about the Taker versus Jarrett match because it hadn't even been a match.
It barely
talked about.
It barely happened. Jarrett was good, but Jarrett's kind of always good.
That match was literally there to have Kane to come out and for them to stare down. Like what did I had like 4 lines on that entire match. Yeah. I'm just like,
I think Jarrett did a great job, but when does Jarrett do a bad job?
Like literally,
apparently when he does promos on Austin,
exactly.
Literally double J. All he did the entire match was just run around and get beat up. I'm like, there was nothing to this match.
Oh, that's making sense now. Shawn buried Owen. Bad choice of words. Shawn canceled Owen's career, knocked him down to the mid card. Jarrett canceled his own career, got knocked down to the mid card, and then they became a tag team.
Yep.
But they were a good tag team. I had fun with them.
They're both great wrestlers.
How about most surprising of the night?
The Owen thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just assumed they were going to keep Owen away from Shawn. I didn't know that they even attempted this. So when he came out, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And now for a look back even further into the history of wrestling.
The dusty finish.
Raven had held the ECW World Heavyweight Championship since the beginning of 1996. But on October 5th, that title would be up for grabs in an Ultimate Jeopardy match he wasn't even involved in, as he was injured. Stevie Richards and Brian Lee would face Sandman and Tommy Dreamer, where all competitors would suffer a penalty if they were to be pinned. Everybody's brawling around ringside and into the crowd until Lee and Tommy have made it back to the ring for a running power slam and chair shots by Primetime, when he goes to run the ropes, but he's tripped up by Beulah, allowing Dreamer to recover for a roll-up for a 2 count. Tommy then blocks a Primetime slam and counters it into a DDT, only for Laurie Fullington to run in to break up the pin. Everybody's back brawling with Dreamer and Lee heading back into the crowd, where Tommy is thrown off the bleachers through a table, while Stevie delivers a chair shot to Sandman for a 2 count inside the ring. And Tommy and Brian fight inside a men's bathroom with trash cans, beer bottles, and chairs, while Sandman's burying Stevie with tables at ringside. Lee and Dreamer continue making their way around the arena, with Tommy's head being smashed into walls, vending machines, followed by being dragged up to a balcony area, while Blue Meanie and Supernova set up a stack of 4 tables below, when Brian delivers a Primetime slam that sends Dreamer crashing through them all. Now inside the ring, Richards and Sandman are back and forth when Laurie would enter the ring again, distracting her ex-husband, allowing for a Stevie kick that only gets a near fall. Richards would grab the Singapore cane and swing away. The Sandman would duck and counter into a DDT for the pin, making him ECW World Heavyweight Champion for the 4th time. Sandman would defend the title over the next couple of months, when the former champion would return to regain the belt he never lost.
Whew.
Next week, Starrcade 1997.
Sting. Hogan. I mean, it's Sting! That's my Tony Schiavone.
I'll add that to my surprise list there, because I wasn't expecting that.
I mean, I'm just making fun of Tony because he's a dweeb, but, I love him.
Starrcade 97, huh? I'm intrigued.
It's a famous show. Yes. Tune in to find out if it's infamous or not.
Music from this week's show is Break It Down, instrumental version by the DX Band. And Kid Shamrock technically won our main event. So we play Dangerous by Jim Johnston.
How often is that?
We gotta get our Jim Johnston in there.
Absolutely.
If you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there, rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcast at. Do as Michael says.
5 stars and no stars. Do it for Ken. Do it for Sergeant Slaughter.
And if you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Oh, where the hell are we going? We're going to DC next. You know the drill, folks. I need ideas. Give me some ideas. I haven't been to DC since I was 19. I haven't been to DC.
I don't even know if DC had... I mean, it's Maryland, essentially.
I said 19. No, I went to DC in 99, 98, something like that. So yeah, either way, I need ideas because I haven't been there in forever. So
It's Adderall, coffee, and...
can't do coffee. Matt doesn't like coffee.
yeah, no, I'm just saying. It's like, what do they eat in DC, those fucking scumbags? Power bars. 97, they're eating power bars and Ritalin.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something else, but I don't know.
Fiji water.
I don't know what the hell they have in DC. I didn't eat there when I was there.
if you have any of those things, you can always email us at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com or find us on X at WrestlingHistoX. That's WrestlingHistoX. We'll talk to you next week.
They're still better. Later.